What if Monster Hunter and Hades had a baby? You might get something like Savara, the main topic of today's episode. This and more on Indie Game Arcade. Welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
Hey, you're back!
Oh man, barely.
Yeah, we thought you were dead. We thought we'd never hear from you again. But here you are.
I feel like I've just been so out of the loop for so many weeks now. I haven't even really gotten to play a video game for multiple weeks, and that hurt my soul.
This was like the first week you've gotten to play anything since your moving escapade started.
That's
and
true.
You moved, and then you immediately had to move again.
Yeah. And so I didn't really have time to play games, period, because things just weren't hooked up. And then I was going through all the stress of moving, which is the worst thing ever. I hate moving. I always will. Moving is the worst. And like I finally had everything hooked up, and then it's just been busy doing other things. So it wasn't really until late this week I got to step into anything. And even that was just so short. I feel so casual right now, such a casual gamer, and that hurts me.
You're a casual now. Hey, welcome.
My nightmare.
Out of the two of us, I've always been more the casual. But like, I'm playing way more games lately than I used to. So like, we've like reversed it. So now I need to flaunt it as much as I can.
Well, you're a non-casual in the sense that you play a lot of games. You just don't play the harder games. That's where I still have to jump in and play, the tough stuff.
One of these days, one day, I'm going to find one specific game that is incredibly difficult. And I'm going to just perfect that one game and be the best at it, just to like have something to really throw a loop and everything,
you should
just to be different.
Make it Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, I'll just be an expert at Dark Souls 2, but terrible at any other Dark Souls or Souls-like game. Like new Elden Ring DLC coming out. Nope, I'm awful at it. Like I can't even get past the first area. Nope.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's coming out soon. That Night Realm or something. Night Rain. Yeah.
Night Rain. Yeah, really soon. Just a few weeks, I think. But we're here to talk about indie games, and the one we're talking about, starting off the top, is Savara. Game start. Savara was released on May 6, 2025, developed by Doria Games, published by Ankama Games, retails for $19.99. This is a roguelike action RPG that takes place in the same universe as Wakfu, which was like a game that you and I like. You introduced me to Wakfu a long time ago, and I just love. I don't think I really got into the game too deeply, but I love the world of that game. So this warrior god, and I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this because I don't know if it's supposed to be IOP or EOP, but it's IOP. So like, I know that in the world of Wakfu, there's like 12 gods, like that's their pantheon. He's the warrior god. He's holding a festival for like all these warriors to kind of like test themselves against a variety of like enemies and monsters. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of it is, unless it's just to celebrate him as the warrior god. But like, that's kind of like how this game is set up. And you are playing as Savara, who is this woman that's trying to kind of test her mettle within this festival here. And as far as like the gameplay mechanics and everything, and I know that you're going to get farther into that, definitely has some influence from Hades as far as like style and everything. I mean, I think that's probably the first thing people would think of when they see this game being played. But also a lot from Monster Hunter and some Souls-likes influence as well, with everything having to kind of be, depending on stamina and everything, which I have seen cause quite a bit of, I don't want to say a lot, but the negative reviews that I have read about this I can tell are from people that don't like Souls-like games, and it's the ones that are very much like wanting this to be a Hades clone, and they're just like, I have to keep waiting. I don't want to wait to take these enemies down. I don't understand. Like, this is so slow. And it's like stuff like that. But I think it's a very interesting mashup of some of these ideas and mechanics. So why don't you go ahead and take it away and tell us about how this game plays out?
Yeah, so that's interesting to hear that it is from the Wakfu universe, because that is also a French created, like, it's not an anime at that point, but it like anime influenced, like French property. And then you've got Expedition 33, which is a French created thing. So it's like,
yes,
the French are just huge. Like coming back in a big way.
I don't know. They're having a new revolution right now.
Yeah.
This is we thought the French, the next time they'd have a revolution, would be another physical battle, more beheadings. No, they're just coming for our indie games. That's what they're doing. They're just taking over the market right now.
Apparently. I mean, I don't know how well this game is doing, Savara. I've even tried to look up some reviews of it, but I couldn't really find any like real, I don't know, like distinctive reviews. So I'm not sure what the general take of this is. It's got a very positive rating right now, but only like 163 people have like reviewed it, which is not nothing, but it's also like very small related to or compared to some of these other games. Mechanically, like you said, it does play in the like isometric view in the same way that Hades does. But when I hear these comparisons to Hades, I mean, it's only really in the perspective and somewhat in the way that doors. You are developing powers via the doors. Yeah. But aside from that, like, you don't go in expecting it to play like Hades. Obviously, the stamina bar makes it a lot more like a Souls-like in that fashion. And then you've also got the monster parts that make it part Monster Hunter in that way. So it really is an interesting combination of all those things. Sort of a jack of all trades, master of none when talking about those three games. But I'm not saying that as a negative thing. I'm just saying that it is mixing all those things very well in the sense that you have to get used to that sort of combat. And as someone who loves Souls-like games and comes from that just in general, that's what I expect when I play games as a stamina bar. This doesn't bother me. It makes it very interesting tactically because this is the first game that I remember playing in a long time, if not ever, that has really influenced me to switch weapons constantly. You've got your main weapon and your secondary weapon, or, just your first weapon and second weapon. And there is incentive to change up often because that refills your stamina meter a little bit and then goes on cooldown, and then you can switch again. So you kind of need to switch weapons to help chain your combos. And a lot of the abilities that you're picking up between doors or at the end of the doors will help influence you switching around. So there's a lot more incentive to switching weapons in this game than I've ever seen in another game. And I really like that because it helps combat flow a lot better. If you were to just stick with one weapon, you can, but you will do a lot of waiting because of the cooldown. But a lot of that is mitigated by just changing your weapon up and switching around mid-combat. And you can continue your combo in that way too, which, not that there's a combo meter per se, but, just to keep like beating on enemies and stunning them or breaking their parts, et cetera, et cetera. So I think mechanically it works very well once you get used to the language it's speaking, which is multiple languages all in one. But it took me about a run to kind of get used to what was happening and how I needed to, utilize all the abilities in front of me. I couldn't just stick with one weapon and really get everything out of what I'm trying to do. Not to mention the fact that there are three different weapon types. There's three different like damage types. And depending on what weapon you choose, it tells you what damage type you're doing. And certain monsters are weak against certain kind of damage. So you have to keep that in mind too. You don't want to bring two of the same damage type weapons into a battle because you're just really limiting the damage that you're able to do. And it doesn't express it up front, not that I've seen, as far as like what something's weak to, but you have to look at the type of damage you're doing. If it's white damage, just doing normal. If it's yellow, you are doing like the bonus damage because you found the type of damage they're weak to. And then once you break apart, it turns red, and then I think it's like a highlighted red if you're doing bonus damage against a broken part of the monster. So there's multiple ways to go about it. It doesn't mean you can't use a weapon a monster is not weak against and kill them, but it'll be a lot more inefficient. So you really have to think about a lot going into this, but I think it plays slow enough to where you have time to think about those things, and you can just like look for the tells that the monster's attacks are showing. At the same time, you just need to really be versatile in how you're approaching something. Combat wise, there's your basic attack. Well, your combo attack is what it's called. That's your normal attack, really. And then your heavy attack is your I'm just going to say the Xbox controller buttons because that's what I use. So X is your regular attack. Y is your heavy attack.
I think that a lot of folks are probably using the same kind of controller when they're playing.
That's what I would think. If not that, then, you know, a PlayStation controller. But at the same time, like, you know, the buttons that are comparable to it. So X is your normal attack. Y is your heavy attack. Then left trigger is your changing weapons, and they change by like doing an attack to lead into that weapon. That's why I say it continues chaining that combo. And then right trigger is your super attack, which each of your weapons has like a bar that goes, well, like a square around them or a diamond around them that charges up, and you'll see when it's full because it'll be flashing. And that's when you can do your super attack, which is a much slower, but also like really strong attack when you can get it off on an enemy, which you kind of have to wait for them to be stunned generally, or at least be finishing up an attack so that you have the window to let that attack charge up and then go off. And then you also have also comparable to Souls-like in the sense that you have a healing flask in a way, which is just ham or just meat, just a big thing of meat.
Yeah,
you can eat.
I like
and
that.
You have like one of them to start, but you can get up to 4. You can carry up to 4, at least. Like, there might be an upgrade down the line that lets you get more. I don't know. But initially you can get up to 4 that you're holding on to. After each boss, you're able to like refill those flask, the meat flask, and
the meat flask
allow you to heal up some. But that is a heal over time type thing. It's not instant. So you have to be real careful when you're using it. Also wait for a window to open up for you to start eating that meat, because you have to hold down the button and like let it go all the way through, or else you will only get a little bit of a heal from your flask. So I don't want to go like super like deep into like mechanics more than I have, but yeah,
sure.
So that's the basics and some of the like non-basics of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really interesting system. And I think that one thing that I was interested in, because I've never played the Monster Hunter games, and like I just realized the way I said that made it sound like I have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm like
Monster Hunter games.
Do they like, when you're like going after like the creatures and stuff in there, do they have like weaknesses and things too that you have to sort of figure out before you can take them down?
Yeah, I mean, again, you can take them down normally, but it'll take longer and be really inefficient if you aren't using either a element type they're weak to, or striking parts of them that are weak. Like if there's something that has like a shielded face or something, obviously you don't want to be attacking that. Like you're trying to attack like the softer areas. And it's kind of like that in this game. It's a little harder to tell like exactly where, you know, weak points are, at least visually, at least initially. Like I haven't fully learned the language of the game yet, but generally, as long as you're just kind of swinging around, you're hitting pretty much all over the monster, and you will break something eventually. So there's probably like smarter ways to approach it, but I found that's worked pretty well for me. And then you are collecting parts and things from the monster as you break them or as you progress through the levels. And what those are letting you do is upgrade your armor and either unlocking different weapons or upgrading your current weapons with those parts. So you are, in classic roguelike fashion, getting progressively better as you're going through runs.
So with that said, too, with the idea of like progression and everything, so they have like talent trees, things like that as well. And I know that they have something called divine blessings, but I don't know exactly what those are.
There are the permanent stat upgrades that are your, So those are like the ones you're upgrading over time, where it's like, okay, now I have 25 more health to start with, or now I can start with an extra meat flask thing.
Got it. Yeah.
And those you have to not only unlock the skill that does it, but also unlock the slots to allow you to put those into. So those are kind of interchangeable and in a way that you can kind of like customize your run a little bit more. Armor, same deal. It's like there are 5 different sets of armor, at least that I have seen, that you're able to build out and upgrade. And you can either kind of interchange parts of different armors to get their bonuses, or if you want like a set bonus, then you want to equip like all of the single armor. So those are things you're unlocking and upgrading as you're going as well. Same with weapons. Weapons have like 3 different tiers of upgrades. And so you're kind of upgrading a weapon steadily to try to reach those different tiers, or at least those like those points on the tiers where it's like gives you a new ability. And there's 3 per weapon. And then there are 5 different trees that I've seen, probably more because I haven't beaten a run yet. I've only done a few. And so, but from what I've seen, you're unlocking things as you go, getting the ability to unlock different weapon types. And then with that, also gaining those blessings, like you're saying, that are, they're like items that you're finding along the way. There's these red, like sparkly things on the map. And as you pick them up,
I do like sparkly things.
There's 4 slots that you have to put 4 different blessings in. And those will be things like, one of them was like a beer mug. And I don't remember exactly what it did, but you know, some of them, for example, some of them let you do like more damage, and you are upgrading that with these little tasks that each of them have to try to like unlock the full potential of it. So there's a lot going on here. And I know like it sounds kind of jumbled when I'm talking about it. It's really a lot simpler than I'm probably explaining it, but there are just a lot of different ways you can customize your run, or at least power yourself up to be more prepared on the following run. When you first go into it, you're going to feel very weak because you don't, one, you won't know what you're doing yet. And 2, you just don't have the upgrades to really reach to get very far. I mean, you can, but it's just going to take you a while because you're kind of just like using a butter knife against these guys initially until you realize kind of what you need to do and how you need to approach these battles.
I kind of like that though, because I feel like in that way, when you go into a roguelike like this, or Hades, or something like Bit Dungeon, when you go in and you are severely underpowered, like right away, and then, you know, you unlock a few things and then you die like really early, I feel like that's part of the game teaching you what the game is. And that, you know, success in a run isn't necessarily completing the run. Success could be just unlocking something so that you can progress farther, or, you know, customize more, or understand more, or learn more. And so that, like, you know, losing or dying or whatever and having to start over isn't necessarily like a failure, because like that is what the game is, trying more runs and experimenting. I know some people get a little bogged down by like feeling overwhelmed like right off the bat in a game like this, but I think that's actually like the way to go.
I think when it comes to roguelikes, you're 100% right. Like that is how they should play. You should feel a little bit underpowered on your first run. If every roguelike had you winning a run the very first time you tried it, like that would get pretty stale pretty fast. You need to have that sense of progression. That is really the name of the game with roguelikes in general. So the more you go through it, not only the more used to the combat or whatever scenario you'll get, but also you will steadily become more powerful and able to take on these enemies that you thought completely unbeatable at first. And there's just a real satisfaction to that. In the same way that any kind of Souls-like game, it's like you have to throw yourself at these bosses multiple times before you can kind of get used to the rhythm of it. And then it becomes like really like a great time and completely rewarding to finally overcome these challenges. And that's what I like about any game, and why roguelikes are really appealing to me in general. Like, yeah, this is really hard starting off, but it should be, because you need to get used to it. You need to get on its level and then try to overcome this challenge. And I think this is so far has been a really fun game that has allowed me to start getting used to that and getting better each run. And that's where I don't have anything negative to say about it necessarily. Although I will point out that camera angle wise, and this is not related to gameplay, this is just sometimes the camera, and there's this one boss specifically, this giant wolf boss that he sends, once he goes into his secondary form, he will start sending like this wave of wolves after you. Anyone who's gotten there will know what I'm talking about. And sometimes the camera is like panned in a way where you can't really see where they're coming from, and you're sort of at the edge of the camera. And it is so hard to dodge some of these wolves because you don't know they're going to even be coming from that side until they are right on your ass. And dodging it at that point is not a skill issue as much as it is just this camera angle is not great sometimes, the way that it locks into place in that specific attack. I haven't really faced any other issues with the camera outside of that, but that one attack from that one boss is just what I will warn you about. I wish that they had it, they would centralize the camera in a way when that attack started so that you could see what was happening. That's been the only thing I faced, and that's happened just about every time I fought that boss. So it's not just a weird bug or anything. It's a constant thing. Yeah. So if I had any criticisms, it would be just to please fix the camera angle in that specific battle. And that's such a small, minute complaint, but it is something that I think people will notice, and they will probably be talking about. Yeah,
I can see that, because that's a frustrating thing, because it's that's adding a bit of difficulty that isn't it's an unfair kind of difficulty where it's cheap because it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
It doesn't come down to skill or anything. So
no, that's not there to challenge you. That's there as
to annoy you.
An annoying oversight, basically. So it's unless I just happen to have been at the weirdest angle each time I fought that boss, then it's I don't know, man. Please just make that particular thing a little bit better, or zoom out or something. I don't know what the solve is for it, other than just fix that camera angle when that attack starts.
You're in the one exact spot every time where the camera pans that direction.
Maybe.
And other place. Yeah.
I know. Maybe people will be I don't know what you're talking about. This is the easiest
I never had that happen.
Ever. Yeah.
No, I one-shotted that guy, man. That was easy.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to look at him.
I'm half expecting that. So that's why I'm not saying that as a big complaint against the game or the camera in general. It's just that one spot I wish that were fixed. I will say the blessings, I misspoke, because the blessings that we were talking about earlier, that is just the god powers that you're given in a Hades way from the rooms, where it's okay, now sure. This is my overpower or whatever the particular thing is. You're not getting them from different gods, but they are just different attack types that you can kind of start getting more of the same in a run to kind of help them stack on each other. What I was talking about with the equipable things is badges. So you have talents and badges. Talents are the ones that you are unlocking, and that's the kind of perma-stat upgrades you're getting. And then badges are the ones you can equip for initially
to upgrade,
that allow you to have kind of customizable upgrades. I'm looking at one, the Lupine Ring, and that's when you beat the wolf boss, where enemies do 2.5% less damage for each of their broken parts. And that is just what this item does when it's equipped to you from that point forward. And it can be upgraded, it looks 4 times. So that means that's 10% less damage once it is completely upgraded. Yeah. So those are badges. So just equipable items that help you kind of customize each run for yourself, in addition to the weapons and the talents that you're equipping. So I think it's got a pretty good amount of customization to it. And once you get used to playing the game, you'll find weapons that you like or prefer, and will probably try to upgrade those as you're going through, because I think it will take a long time to fully upgrade a weapon, just because of how slow the gathering of mats has been, at least initially. But again, I'm pretty early in, so maybe that speeds up as you go through it.
I do like the amount of customization it sounds like it has. I want to preface real quick that I haven't gotten to play it. I had to watch someone to play it, specifically because for whatever reason, and I don't know if I'm assuming you had no trouble because you have a super souped up PC at this point.
Oh yeah.
Mine's slightly older, but even though it was older, we built it real top of the line when we did build it. But like for whatever reason, my PC cannot get this game to run correctly. I don't know if it's like just super resource heavy or what. But what's weird though is like when we were talking earlier, you brought up Clair Obscur. I run that no problem. Like I have no problems running that one. But Savara, which I would think would not be nearly as intensive as something like Clair Obscur. Like I can't run it. It's just lag.
Oh,
but,
weird.
Which is too bad because it looks gorgeous. Like the artwork had me wishlist this thing. Like I think I saw this during the last Next Fest and had it on there from there because like the artwork is gorgeous, which makes sense because the Wakfu stuff has art that was really appealing to me as well.
Really,
so
the moment that you see the art, you're gonna be like, "This reminds me of Wakfu," and there's a reason for that.
Exactly, because it's all tied together.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that until you said it. I hadn't looked that up, so I didn't know that. And it's like, oh, that makes complete sense.
I think it's interesting too because I feel like they didn't make that very pronounced. Like they aren't really tying that in very much. It's just like you wouldn't really know except that if you like look farther into it and you look at who the developer is and who the publisher is. And then you look at like specifically that the god of this game that's putting this thing on is the warrior god in Wakfu. It's like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah, it's all the same universe, but like they're not like making some huge callback to it or anything, which I think is really interesting. Like, I don't know, if it were me, I'd be like, hey, yeah, check this out. Like, go check out my other game too, But I don't know, that's cool.
I do kind of wonder if that might also be like why it's not gotten a lot of attention yet, because that's not apparent. I mean, I don't know how like popular like Wakfu is generally. So maybe that wouldn't make a huge difference, but I think like I would have been more likely to approach this earlier had I known that, just because I'm familiar with that property.
Oh, really? Okay. So yeah, that would have been more incentive for you.
Yeah, at least to like check it out and like look into it more. Like to me, this was just like a random like roguelike. I just liked some of the aspects of it just from what I had looked at. So I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. It looks pretty cool. And yeah, not until literally right now did I find out that it was connected to Wakfu, because I don't think they mentioned that anywhere as far as I've seen so far.
No, they really don't. Like I learned that doing just some deep diving and everything through the lore of the game. So
wow.
Yeah. Do you think this is one you're going to dive more into?
Yeah, definitely. I'm liking what I'm experiencing so far. And it's kind of like fun coming back into gaming after weeks of not doing it and playing one that's kind of a fair challenge like this, because it feels like, okay, now I'm like getting right back into it. And hell yeah. I appreciate the balancing of the stamina and the different customizations that you have. And then the bosses have been interesting so far. I want to at least beat a run, see what happens after that, because like with any roguelike, that's never the end. Beating a run is sometimes the beginning of a game instead. And so it's like, okay, I got to see what else they have in store for me. And at that point, that's when I'll decide how deeply I want to dive into it, or if I'm good with just like beating one run, So until that time, like I would recommend people give this a shot. If you're a fan of any of those three games, Hades, any Souls-like game, and Monster Hunter, I think you'll find something to like about this. And if you're a fan of all three, hey, this is going to be great for you. Yeah,
just don't go in thinking this is going to be like a Hades clone thing. I guess it would probably be more like, think of it as like, what if Monster Hunter was an ARPG in the vein of Hades?
Well, yeah, because Monster Hunter also is big on stamina and such. So
yeah,
take the Hades aspect out of it, except for visually and the whole door choice thing. Combat wise, you're going to feel more at home if you're comfortable with Monster Hunter and Souls-like games.
There you go. You heard it there from our returned boy, our golden son who's come back. Power up! Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor, throw us a like, a follow, share this episode or the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support indie game devs. We also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games or check out our top 5 and top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations, because we believe there's an indie game out there for everyone. Combo! Let's talk about other games we've been playing this week. I think your list is going to be a 0 because I'm pretty sure
pretty small.
You've only been playing Savara.
But I will say that I really want to get into Expedition 33. I'm very excited about that game.
Please. I held off on talking too deep into it specifically so we could talk about it together.
Have you beaten it yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't beaten it. I need to talk about this game though. Like it's a need. It's a need. But like we'll give everyone a break because like every single goddamn video game podcast is talking about Clair Obscur or has been the last couple of weeks. So you know what? You guys get a break for a little bit. We'll come at it like way late. So you'll think, oh, finally, I'm done hearing about it. And then we'll be like, hey, guess what? Viva la France. Here's Clair Obscur. I'm going to get a baguette.
This was our offering to the French Revolution, who's playing this game and presenting it to you.
Yeah, we played this instead. But yeah, we'll be swinging baguettes, all kinds of shit. It'll be a good time. We'll get into that. I'll be wearing a striped swimsuit, full body swimsuit. It's going to be good. That'll make sense for you later, I think. If you find it, you'll see what I mean. I'm going to talk about one of the games I've been playing. This is one called Drop Duchy. This released on May 5th, 2025 from Sleepy Mill Studio. This is deck building meets tower defense meets Tetris. Have you seen this game, Joseph?
No, let me look it up.
It's so strange and it looks so weird, but it's so interesting. So what you're doing is you are building your realm, your kingdom in like a medievalish kind of way by strategically placing these shapes and stuff like tiles that look like Tetris blocks. And on those pieces, you have different terrains and buildings. So it might be like grassy, or it might be like forest, or, it might just be one with a building on it and stuff. The blocks are drawn between rounds from a customizable deck of cards. So you get to like choose different cards and things, kind of, like a roguelike deck builder. But when you are doing a round, you are dropping the pieces in, Tetris-like. And as you're doing so, you might get like some planes, and then you might have a farm building that you drop in. And you want to strategically place that farm building next to the planes so the farm can turn those into farmland, which gives you resources. The reason that you want those is because you are also placing enemy troop locations, which are on some of those blocks as well as your own troop locations. So you might have like guard towers or forts. And once all of the little Tetris blocks are placed, then you have like a battle. And it is like an auto battler kind of thing, but you are kind of like pointing your troops on where to go. So like which areas to attack and everything. The big thing is really like the more resources you can gather, then the more troops you will get to your side. So that's why you want to be really strategic about how you want to drop these things. You want the farm to be able to harvest those plains. You want to be able to, the woodcutter folks or whatever, to harvest like the trees and everything. So you can gather more resources. The more resources you get, will get more troops to come to your tower, come to your barracks. And then those resources get spent after the round is over if you survive, which basically like if you win the battle, it's whoever has more troops left over by the end, because one side's going to get wiped out. So once like a round of the building placement, the blocks and everything is over, the fight's over, that's when you go into kind of like the selection mode, and then you are like doing upgrades to upgrade some of your cards. You are buying more cards, and you're using those resources to kind of make all your purchases and everything. Better buildings, more troops, more things that will help you gather more resources faster and be more efficient. So kind of like that. And then like as you go on your run, like you go farther on, there's going to be like more enemies. Like they're going to be increasing over time as well. So it just keeps like escalating and escalating. It's such a fascinating idea. Like the idea of this being mixed with Tetris is so fascinating to me. It's like something I never would have thought of.
And when you say Tetris, like it is literally Tetris pieces as I'm looking at like the shapes, like
the classic shapes that you think of.
Yeah, exactly. Like because I'm watching like a video of it, and it looks really cool. Like I'm surprised I'd not heard of it, but I'm glad that it looks like it's doing very well. 647 very positive reviews.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It's definitely one of those that you could spend a ton of time in.
I could see myself getting lost in this game for a while, especially because it's the roguelike.
I mean, I just love too when like people take ideas and then build upon them and then make something new and fresh.
Yeah.
Tetris is one I never expected for someone to do, you know?
Yeah, like I love Tetris just as is, but I didn't really expect anyone to have any sort of different take on Tetris, at least nothing that would interest me in this way. But it's like, oh, you made Tetris a roguelike and a little city builder. All right, cool. That's really refreshing and an interesting way to intertwine all those worlds. Oh man, I'm really trying to remember. What is that game where you could like customize? Oh, Diceomancer. I just remembered. Like that reminds me of just how interesting that game was for a similar reason, just because it is so many different ideas thrown together in a weird way. And it was just such a unique experience that I really sunk a lot of hours into that. And this is one that I could see myself getting lost in as well. It might be a blind pickup for me, even not having played the demo. Like as I'm looking at it, I already added it to my cart. So I may, before the end of this episode, be purchasing it.
It'll be, what was the game that happened before where we were talking about something and then you had bought it before we even finished recording the episode?
Oh man.
I can't remember what game that was.
It could be multiple games. I don't know. Sometimes like you will just spark my interest with something you're talking about that is just out of my regular wheelhouse of games.
Oh, it was Haste. It was Haste Broken Worlds.
That's right. Oh man.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of fun with that actually. Yeah.
Before we even finished talking about it, like, cause I was telling you about it, you had already bought it and it just like, we didn't even finish the episode yet. We're still recording. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So it's going to be another one of those. Final round. Let's talk about games that we're excited about that are coming up. I've got two I want to mention real quick. One is called Nubs Arena, which releases on the 15th, which I think that means it'll be out by the time this comes out. Let me check my dates here. Nope. By the time this comes out, it'll be out tomorrow. So get ready for Nubs Arena. This is a crazy multiplayer brawl that kind of reminds me of if like Castle Crashers pitted you against your friends in the way of something like Duck Game. If anyone remembers Duck Game, which was such a fun time. The art of this is just fantastic looking. It looks just like pure chaos and fun. If you can get a few friends together and play this, just a big multiplayer battle arena style game and just looks nuts.
Yeah, that does look pretty crazy. Last Nub Standing.
Yeah. I love the name too. Just Nubs. That's just cute. The other one is Nitro Express. I think you'd be pretty interested in this one as well. We'll see. This one releases on May 19th. This is a 2D run and gun in the way of something like Metal Slug, but with a very like pixel art anime style, starring like these anime girls. It looks super cute, but also just packed full of action. It just looks like it would be a ton of fun to play. Everything just looks completely wild. Lots of explosions. The pixel art looks really, really good. Just looks completely wild. Like if you were a fan of Metal Slug and, foregoing Metal Slug Tactics, because very different, mechanics and everything there. But the original Metal Slug style of games, like this looks like definitely some kind of spiritual successor to that.
Yeah, that does look really cool. I'm checking it out now. On the wish list.
Yeah, is this going to end up in the cart too before we get out of here?
There's one I wanted to mention, but it's already out, but I haven't picked it up yet. I probably will be though. It's called Kiborg. And
I've heard of this.
Yeah, so it's like a beat 'em up action roguelike with combat like Arkham City or just like the Arkham games, period, where you are this like, I guess, cyborg guy you've got all these cybernetic implants that you're upgrading and whatnot as you go through runs. You're fighting off all these enemies in the same kind of like chaining off combo style in those Batman games. But there's also this guy's not afraid to use guns either. So there's a lot of different ways that it looks like you can approach combat. It kind of takes you from room to room going through these fights. It feels sort of like a tournament type thing, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. You might just be trying to escape something, but just from the videos I've seen on it, or the video I've seen on it, because I just literally learned about it yesterday, I am very excited for the way that it looks, because I love that type of rhythm combat that those games offer.
Yeah, I gotta say, like the Arkham Asylum style fighting mechanics, I think probably some of the best, if not the best, or like, you know, the most fluid I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I wish more games would adopt that. I don't care if it's indie or AAA or whatever. It's just the fluidity of that is completely unmatched. And I don't think that it makes it over into other games nearly enough. It's just so satisfying.
And I guess more recently, the Spider-Man games or the Miles Morales game, same type of combat as that. You're probably not going to be as agile and swinging around, but you are still doing the same sort of dodge and chaining from enemy to enemy, except this time you can use a rocket launcher or rocket fist or whatever. And so it looks really cool. Graphics look nice. So I don't know. That's one I'll probably pick up.
I would love to rocket fist someone. That sounds so much fun.
Or weirdly like a euphemism. I don't know. But April 30th is when that game came out. So pretty recent still.
Okay. Yeah.
One I will update you here if I do end up playing it.
Game over.
Well, if you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper to learn about how you can support the show and all the other things we do here at Sloth Creative. You can also check the show notes for our link tree. That'll take you to our social media, Discord, subreddit, merch store, tons of other cool stuff. But get in touch with us, let us know what indie games you're playing, and help us elevate these games so we can help support indie developers. But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.